Hello, my friends. Hello, my life warriors, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the Day In, Day Out podcast. Woo! Today on episode 312, I have Lauren Petrullo on the podcast today. She is a digital marketer, consultant for all e-commerce brands on Shopify, and many things more. How are you today, my lady? How are you today?
Oh my gosh, I'm doing so well. As we talked earlier, I'm in Florida and it's not torrential raining right now. So it's great. It's a sunshine state today.
Yeah, look, I'm in the UK. Look, all I've got to say is summer, sun. Look, well, normally if I was up north in Manchester, they pray to the sun every time they see it. I was like, big yellow disc, pray to it. At this moment in time, I've got the sun on the back of milk cartons, like going, have you seen this? Like, if you have, please, like, tell authorities because, oh my God. Yeah. Um, uh, that
Did you
is,
just come up with that joke?
uh, yes. It's like, this is,
That's so
yeah.
good.
But, but yes, damp is pretty much everyone's middle name this year in 2023 in the UK. They were talking about record temperatures like throughout Europe. Yeah, everywhere except here. You know what? Global warming would love to see some of it. Look, Greta, I don't care. Look, look. I would spin a polar bear's face if I could get a little bit more sun at this present time. Yeah, and I'll run very quickly, but that's another story.
I wonder if SPF and sun care products has just tanked in the UK as where it's taking off elsewhere in other markets.
Oh, you don't need it. Like, you don't need it in the UK right now. Look, no doubt, maybe in 10 days' time, that might be different, but not right now. You guys, look, there is the most ginger person in the entire world walking around, with not a care in the world. Just going, I'm walking on sunshine. Oh, no, I'm not. That's be free. Yeah, I was like, yeah. Just
my stomach hurts from laughing so hard.
Don't love it. Yeah. You're okay there. You're okay.
Yeah. I'm reminded of how I need to do more ab work because it hurts right now.
There you go. Look, you know what? You come on a podcast, you get a little bit of an exercise routine. You gotta love it. Yeah.
100%.
Oh, brilliant. Now, I have to ask, you worked for Disney, right?
I did.
Like building their killer droid, their animatronics and stuff like that, producing on that side of things. Yeah.
So I held multiple roles at the Walt Disney Company. The first role, back in 2011, I was actually a Cinderella Cedar inside the castle. But then I did graduate to working with the business development side at Disney Institute, and then on the marketing team for an in-house idea agency at Disney.
Yeah. So you just went along for an audition or something like that, and you got in that way?
So when I did the Cinderella Cedar program, so inside the castle, it was actually a college program. So I was I don't want to state my age. Well, I just turned a certain age. And then I went and did the program where you lived in Disney housing. You had Disney transportation take you to work. I went to costuming and got this curtain size Russian tent skirt with a very fluffy white top on top. And then we had specific hair accessories. And so it was college without homework because it's not just you, but you alongside 1,000 new college kids every week, it seemed like. And that's where I met my husband. So I have zero complaints about the quality of people that were on this.
I was about to say, okay, 1,000 college kids in the sun. I only speculate what type of shenanigans may have gone on.
If you want to go down that rabbit hole, there's a book someone had written about it, the Secret Keys to the Kingdom, but it was just oh gosh, I'm going to admit this. It's fine. Every Monday, you had
Mm,
like you called it Happy Mondays, and so
okay.
Epcot houses a lot of different foreign internationals. My husband's from Italy. He worked at Epcot, so all these beautiful foreigners come together and they're on this year-long program, and then they organize Happy Mondays. So like I made a Liberty Bells, like a US group of 40 to 60 US college women, where we'd go to a bar and play drinking games against the Italian Stallions or the Lumberjack Canucks or like the different international groups. And it was just like going to a sorority or frat party, but with a very nice passport experience. I don't know how else to describe this, but it was fantastic because you didn't have homework, and then you would go to work the next day. You were making minimum wage. You were wearing uncomfortable costumes. Some people were working like 16-hour shifts. So it was a very great way to relieve stress. Fun fact, if you are listening to this and want to know more, if it's still on YouTube, someone made a music video off of like a T-Pain song, and it was called Vista Lay, because one of the 3 properties that you could live in as a college program candidate was called Vista Way, but they had to
Uh,
close the hot tubs for speculation that you would go inside and get an STD or pregnant if you went inside the hot tubs. Now that's not any, that was just like the speculation, the rumors of why they closed the hot tubs. But if you look up a YouTube videos like Vista Lay, you will see that it's college kids on spring break working for Disney, earning minimum wage, and Playboy rated it like top 10 places to be.
oh my Lord. I can
I've
only
learned
imagine.
a lot. I will say, I was really fortunate. I met my husband, and we are celebrating 10 years of marriage, like in 2 weeks. So, I wifeyed up. But I can tell you that some of my friends really experienced so many fantastic cultural exchanges. And, professionally speaking, after working for Disney, I had it on my resume, and then I went back to California to finish undergrad. I never was denied at least a first interview because they're like, "Oh, tell me about your job at Disney." I was like, "Okay, professionally speaking, sure, let me tell you all about it." You have to
What?
understand. They had so Mondays, Happy Mondays. You organized it with different drinking parties, and then Wednesdays there was a bus that Disney transferred. Like they shuttled you to the bars downtown. So you'd go to the bars downtown. Thursday you go to a different set of bars. So they had transportation, which was great. So you didn't drink and drive. It was a really safe environment to get real life working experience. And Disney got huge tax breaks, because it was housing and educational programs. But also, professionally, I worked for Disney. I got to be inside and see a lot of how this major corporation works. I got to pick up shifts. So I worked in the castle mostly, but I would work 5 days a week. So I'd pick up and work at a different park and experience all these different interactions with guests and cast members alike. Plus, I got to get college credits and I earned my doctorate,
Eh?
my Donald doctorate.
I love it. So, this is the thing. Apart from working in the most magical place on earth,
Mm.
and yes, happy Mondays. What would you say in the cultural exchange and picking up a husband and witnessing your friends maybe going through their own culture exchange? Yeah, what would you say was one of the biggest lessons you've learned from there, apart from not going into the hot tubs because you know?
Okay, so that was just the college program. So that was a really unique experience because, you're not in a position of severe influence. So when I graduated to other roles, there's a lot more that I was responsible for. But I think
Mm,
during that program, a big takeaway was don't enter the college program if you're under 21. They have there is security, there is a lot of protection and enforcement, it is college kids unbound. But every week we saw people get terminated for a variety of reasons, and so it's hey, this is your entry point into the professional world. Have fun, but be responsible, because we saw people not care enough, and it like would really disrupt. I knew people that could never come back to Disney, like they were fully barred. People
Oh
that
no.
had past mistakes that ended up like impairing their progress at Disney. Like someone had done some like stupid high school shenanigans and it had involved like shoplifting like a candy bar or something really small, but it was on their record. So Disney banned that individual from ever interacting with any sort of cash ever, which limited so many roles that they could be in. And then they ended up becoming a custodial engineer, which is a janitor, and he would do lots of like painting on the sidewalks with water. But the biggest takeaway is like, as much fun as it is, like you're now an adult and there are serious consequences for your recklessness.
Mm. Yeah, that's what I always find strange about Disney. Like,
Mm.
if you like, depending if you've done something in your past, and I'm talking about sort of that acting talent here, they
Sure.
will they will let that go. Like Tim Allen, Robert Downey Jr., and like I mean, a whole host of other people. They'll be cool with it. But if you do it while you're under the employer, it's
Yeah.
really close. Yeah, then they are really, really strict. I've always found that strange about them. If you get what I mean.
Yeah, well, I absolutely get what you mean. And so that was like when I graduated into like the marketing department and into
Mm.
a backstage role. So I wasn't in the park interacting with guests all the time. I mean, I saw it. They're big. I mean, now I have my own companies and I start to get it. But when I was just an employee or a cast member, I was like, wow, this is too much. Like, this isn't like, why is this getting blown out of proportion? But, the marketing team had 42, 43 full-time lawyers on staff, just the marketing department for Disney World. And so they have to be so cautious because it's easy for someone to say, hey, Disney, you're a target. If I do X, Y, and Z, I can come after you with money. So it's just they have to err on the side of caution, which as I progress into the more career side of my time with Disney, I would see how slow they move, like dinosaur slow, because of how many levels of checks and balances they have to go through. They have to
Mm.
go through lawyers. They also have to go through like character integrity and story IP, because there was a project that my team was a part of that involved The Incredibles. And there was one line in the marketing campaign that contradicted a PlayStation 2 storyline of a sub character from a game that was barely known about. So, because that infringed on the storyline, the entire campaign got put to bed. So there's a lot of stuff that they just have to protect themselves from being so big, which I know I didn't appreciate enough when I was a peon in the wheel. But now being a grown up, I'm like, dang, Disney, I understand. But it does feel like incredulous how slow things move. Like a small like side story, if anyone knows about Disney World, and they had like this magic band experience that was like rolled out 10 years ago. So you would use this bracelet to tap into the rooms. It's your
Yeah.
hotel, your wallet. Disney won so many innovation awards. So many. Like, this is amazing. Like, you don't have to bring your wallet. Everything is here. Like, I remember even like that you can capture your photos. Everything gets stored to this smart technology that you're wearable. This wearable that originally was free. Now they make more money because they sell them. And that product had existed for at least 10, maybe even 15 years in the market before Disney rolled it out. But because Disney had rolled it out at such a large scale, and because the name is Disney, they won all these innovation awards. But really, if you look at the timeline, it was dinosaur sloth of a
Mm.
rollout. So
Yeah. But this is the thing. It must have really sort of drawn your attention to what real clout is, because like the thing, like if we wear our branded clothes and stuff like this, you like, oh yeah, you have an idea, but you have no idea if you get what I mean. Like,
yeah,
oh
it's
no, please, sorry, you were about to say
no. I
something.
mean, it's really like you. An easy way to just describe it at the like highest level.
Mm.
For those that come to the Orlando destination, I would recommend, if you're going from the UK, to use a VPN and look at your ticket pricing, for example, because there can be different offers available to you based on your location. So if you're coming from the UK and you're trying to go to Florida, the Disney team is obviously going to have to take into effect like the cost of the plane ticket and the extra additional components for travel. And because you're crossing, a whole ocean, there might be additional opportunities for you to buy. So understanding the consumer psychology and consumer insights of how a UK traveler compared to a US traveler from east or west of the Mississippi, those behavior dynamics are so different that what you don't know is that like you're going to see very specific offers that cater towards your demographic, which may or may not be in your best interest. But they have all of this data, all of this consumption that like if you don't know, you don't know. And like even at like a higher level, if you come to Florida, I think probably I would guess 80% of the people listening to this podcast don't realize that Magic Kingdom, the main park at Disney, there are 4 parks, is actually on the second floor. The entire park is on the second floor because Florida is a high water table. If you go below, it's swamp. So on the first floor of Disney are these tunnels, but they're not actually tunnels because they're not underground. It's just the first floor of Disney. So the entire theme park for Magic Kingdom is almost all on the second floor. And when you're walking into Disney, you don't see it, but there's a gradual incline because you're going from ground level to the second floor.
Ah, I did not know this. That's fascinating. Wow. Like, what else do they use those tunnels from? Drainage or something?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So HVAC system. So part of when I was at Disney Institute, again, the business development arm, a lot of brands will hire Disney to understand Disney's approach to creativity and innovation. What's Disney's approach to selection, training, and engagement? They would hire Disney Institute to train them or at least expose them to how Disney does what Disney does. So we'd have like really major firms. I'm talking like some of the biggest Fortune 500 brands come and get consulting from this branch. And one of the tasks that I had was I was able to do like a backstage magic tour to facilitate behind the scenes and show how, the largest single site employer in North America is able to deliver so much magic at quality at scale. And the part of that tour, one of my favorite parts was like when we would go underground, obviously I'm using air quotes because there's no underground, to what's called the Utilidor, which is actually designed by some Navy folks. Because the reason that the Magic Kingdom's on the second floor is no one wanted to see someone from Frontierland in Tomorrowland. It changes the story. Like, why is someone dressed up from the future and next to a Victorian era haunted mansion? Doesn't work. But if you're on the first floor, you can go from one side to the next or exit without having any like interaction. Unlike Disneyland, like you see people leaving because there's one entrance, one exit.
Yeah.
So the trash is also, you won't see at Disney World people with giant trash bins because a lot of the trash cans have this sucking system so that it gets shot through the ceiling of the first floor. So when you're in the Utilidor, you can hear trash going and it goes to what's called right behind Splash Mountain. People will call it Trash Mountain, and depending on the wind, you can smell it. It's just but like all like what you don't know going back to your earlier component. And so like Disney would take such exception to those details to ensure a quality experience and a safe one, because if you have a big trash can and individuals that are carrying this trash, it increases opportunity for injury.
Blimey. Now I have to ask, like, do you have a slight love for data? Because what you've said with regards to the whole marketing and like how they do things, it sounds like it's a very sort of data intensive realm, if you get what I mean. Am I wrong in saying that, or am I right?
I mean, I say data tells me that you're right. I mean, in the sense of like, you can derive decisions from data. Like, why would you guess when you don't need to? And for Disney, like at times, depending on park capacity, you could have, so let's talk about World versus Land. Land is in California. Sorry, this is becoming like a Disney insider kind of podcast.
No, like, this is the thing, right? Like, for somewhere where you worked 10 years ago and everything like this, you have got the bug, my lady. You have got the bug and the enthusiasm coming off of you. I'm all in favor. Go for it.
I mean, I enjoyed it a lot. It helped shape who I've become, and like I must always give credit back. Like it's brilliance. There's so much like intention behind every element. Like again, you may never know or you think you know, but like there are some stories that will scare you, but some stories that are just like, I can't believe they pulled it off. So like Land versus World, right? Land, 1955. World came out after Walt Disney died. So Walt Disney ever saw World open. Land is in California. World is in Florida.
Yes.
Land, you can fit all of Disneyland. So 2 theme parks, California Adventure, Disneyland, their downtown Disney and their parking lot inside the Magic Kingdom parking lot, and still allow 500 cars to park. So the parking lot for one of the parks at Disney can fit all of Disneyland and all of it, the hotels, everything, and still allow 500 cars to park. So when Disney World is twice the size of Manhattan or close to the size of the city of San Francisco, people are unaware of just how much. And when I'm saying it's the largest single site employer, there were at least 70,000+ people working. It's like a mini city. And so your experience is just interacting with 1 or 2 guests, but Disney has to maintain, story, quality, like integrity, everything, all of their values across thousands and hundreds of thousands of visitors every day, every week, millions a year. It's a lot.
It is. Wow. No, because San Francisco, that is terrifying. No, like just thinking on the logistics alone, that is mental. Because look, yeah, Disneyland, yes. Disney World, I thought, okay, yeah, Disney World, it's a theme park. Yeah, fine. But no, I still can't kind of get that in my head, how big that is for a theme park.
It's not. It's a city. It's truly a city. So when you go back to the question of like why data, because you're talking about a scale that's massive. So in like depending on park capacity, you could pay for labor for one park with just parking and ticket admission in 1 hour. So you have things at such volume of scale that one slight change can really impact dollars. And Disney does a lot of giving back as well. Like their whole program that they do is Second Harvest, because Disney will sell, I don't know, I'm arbitrary numbers, 100,000 hot dogs a day. So they'll buy 150,000 hot dog buns. And maybe they sell 150 that day, 130 the next. But there's still 20,000 or whatever number of hot dog buns that can't be used because they're past the expiration date of selling, but still available. And so in Central Florida, the Second Harvest Bank teamed up with this trucking training company. So this CDL, commercial driver license firm, that helps train truck drivers, and said, hey, we have students that need to get hours. So we have empty trucks. And Disney was with people at the company like, hey, well, we have food that we need to pay to throw away. Or why don't you make them a route, pick up the food, and then donate to these various food shelters? Wow. So they're able to use the data to drive real impact. And so it, like, again, working at a company, even at the college program level, is like, the mini intern, to seeing the impact of all these other decisions and how it just rolls out large. Like, I will never ignore data, because data, like pennies, make millions.
Indeed, they do. Like if you like stack them correctly, indeed they do. No, because like I have like before we move on from the world of Disney, because I have to ask, like, what did you think? Like, what did you think it was going to be like before you actually like went there? If you can remember.
Yeah, so I applied the first time when I was when I lived in Illinois, and I actually didn't get it. Growing up, like my friends knew I was a total Disney fan. Like when I was 7, I could quote all of Hercules just because I had watched it so many times, and so I'd just like break out any moment, like, oh, you want to do this scene? Let's go. So I didn't get it. And again, it was that kind of like, well, Disney's a really big company. I'm just a small peon. So when I did get the role, I was like, okay, I'm excited. I felt like the opening of a TV show, like a girl going to New York for her first time. Like, this is my dream come true. And then I arrived at casting, met my apartment. So I shared a room with another girl, Xiomara. She was from Puerto Rico. 2 of my roommates were Cubans from Miami. So like you live in like a dorm almost setting. Yeah, I was in the nicer. I paid an extra $30 a week to have a bigger apartment. So there were only 2 bedrooms for 4 of us. Some people were like 8 girls in an apartment.
Oh, like, no.
I have fridge space I need. We talked about my cookie collection. I need my cookie cabinets.
Yeah, you've got a problem. You got a problem. Come on. I need that cookie
It was
dough.
like,
Come
I
on.
mean, think of a kid in a candy store. That's what my impression was. And when I was told that I was going to work in the castle, because you don't know your job, you do an interview and then you show up. You don't know what area of industry you're going to work in. You don't know what location. You don't know anything. And then I got a sit-down restaurant, which is really good because I worked 7 to 10 p.m. max. My roommate worked at an ice cream shop, so her shift started at 6 p.m. and she'd work till 4 a.m. sometimes. Hard pass. But I remember getting like, hey, you're going to work in Cinderella's castle. And I turned to the girl behind me. I was like, hold on, something's wrong. Is this really happening? Did I just become a princess?
It's like, no. It's like, you're going to be working in the castle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it just felt like a bigger dream on top of a dream. And then working at Disney, I got so much out of it that I couldn't have expected. I learned so much. Again, going to Disney University to get my doctorate, like I got to again learn from like Imagineers of different ways that Disney conducts their business. And so for career-wise, it was fantastic. Having the chance to like pick up shifts elsewhere, it felt like a kid in the candy store, and it became that even more, except with the dark, scary side of if you are reckless, there are severe consequences. If you don't return your costume because you're like, hey, I'm going to keep this like $5 bracelet hair accessory from the costume as a souvenir, you could get banned from ever working at Disney again. If you show up and you're interacting with a Disney staff member at a restaurant, even though you're off work, and maybe you're rude to let's say you pull a Karen at the restaurant, that Disney cast member can report you, even though you're not working, and you can get fired from your job for inappropriate behavior with a Disney staff member when you're not working. Like it's almost like this like Eye of Sauron kind of situation.
Yes.
If you're caught drinking, like at the housing, if you're caught staying in someone's apartment, because you had hours, so you could not be inside a housing complex, which was like a whole, like a gated community of apartments, if you didn't live in that housing complex. So I had a friend, like 2 housing complex, it's like 700 to 1,000 apartments each, are a block away from each other. One person left his girlfriend's apartment, let's say at 12:01, and 11 o'clock is you need to be back by 11. He left 12:01, walked to the other one. He walked in at like, let's say 12:15. The next day, he was kicked out of the program because he had violated curfew. And they knew because they were so close that they see the security cameras. They're like, oh, he just left that one. Why did he leave that one? He must not stay there. Oh, he walked into here where he stayed. He violated curfew over there. So it was just like, it's incredibly magical, but it's also, if you are reckless, it will impair you for the rest of your career potentially. Like that individual cannot work with Disney. There's ways that you can submit and stuff, but to what you alluded earlier, when you're on Disney's payroll, you subscribe to a very clear set of rules.
Wow. That must be, that's incredibly tough because, like, don't get me wrong, I understand it's like Disney, it's a family, like, family brand, and they want to keep that reputation intact. But that is a lot of pressure to, like, sort of stick at it. I imagine a number of people just left because they just couldn't handle, couldn't do the rules.
I think there were fewer people that left and they were just kicked out. My husband almost left, so part of the reason when I fell in love with him, he was like, I'm not enjoying this program so much. Like he misses home. The food in the U.S. is not the same as the food in Italy. They were working a lot. Like his boss made them like clean his windows on the weekend or something. Like it was sus. And he was like ready to just like leave the program. So foreigners will leave because it's a cultural adjustment. But then he met me and he's like, oh, well, I've changed my mind.
I wonder why. Look at you. You're feeling like the Cheshire Cat. Yes. Yes. Help change his mind.
Yes. I could do like, there's like 7 different hearts that I could do. But
look, you've got to do at least one more.
I mean, the smallest one is this one. But I think the craziest one is this one. Let me see. It's easier from this side to see it. No, I'm not doing a very good job.
Yeah.
It's one that you don't see a lot, but like you make it from, there we go.
Comes down. Yeah. Okay.
And then a funny one is where you're like eating an apple. So it's like you have like this and you're like, I can't believe I just, if you're watching this video, I hope you.
No, why? Thank you. And this will be broadcast around the world in glorious Technicolor. Can you hear that?
That's so funny.
Now, Disney, big chapter. Now, you went through and you like working here, working there. What was the thing what went, you know what? I'm sick of you sons of bitches. I'm going to start my own business.
Oh, I wish that was the conversation that it went. It wasn't. It was, your position doesn't exist anymore.
Oh.
So it was like, I mean, so at the time when I was working with Creative Inc., the in-house idea agency, I literally was living my best 5-year-old self. We were a team of 7 and we would partner on these magnificent projects at Disney. And imagine what if Elsa turned the entire Cinderella suite frozen? What if 12-year-old to 14-year-olds were the biggest fans of Disney cruises? Because that's a really hard age to cater to for Disney fans, because they're like, I'm too old for princesses and I'm really not an adult. But it was this amazing, amazing job. But it was at a time when people started cutting the cord. So they were cutting the ESPN cord, which a lot of people don't know was a huge portion of the Disney budget. Like I want to say like 44% of marketing budget came from ESPN. So when people started cutting the cable cord, it had drastic impact. And I remember like friends of mine, like the floor, I worked at the 5th floor building, like the floor was cut down to half. There were so many positions that didn't exist anymore. So it wasn't it's time for me to walk away. It was that your position doesn't exist. It's like, okay, so what, now what? Mm-hmm. And that's where it went.
Yeah. So you found yourself like out of work.
Yeah.
You could have easily found another job, maybe not the same sort of magical level or like same enthusiasm or joy, but like what sort of geared you up and spurred you on to like go, I'm going to start my own business?
So I did take on 2 other roles with like one with another Fortune 500 company because I mean I had really great resume, and then even with a small business like an agency. And I had explored them, but I didn't get the feeling of like what is possible. What was great was when I went from Disney to this Fortune 500 company to an agency, I was like, oh, I get more agility. I can be more agile and quick to market because I don't have 43 lawyers on full-time staff reviewing everything. But like I still, whether it was the joie de vivre or the innovation influence and the creativity, was still stifled. Whereas at Disney, I had the chance. That was like, we could do whatever. And like, there's a really great story about how we recruited a very specific career female to speak to a team about loyalty programs to help understand an evolution of the timeshare space. So like we would bring in like flight attendants and other individuals that had a different experience of how to build up loyalty. And there were some careers that, I mean, I'm not going to say on a recorded podcast, but some careers that were really, really helpful in understanding how do you retain and keep the same customer to keep coming back to you when there's other options and stuff out there. And like, so I missed that. And it was, I didn't want to feel bound by someone else's restrictions. And I didn't want to feel dependent on a whim that my job couldn't exist anymore.
Mm-hmm. So basically, taking control of the will, and directing your own destiny. Oh, I see.
Oh, yeah. I like that. Directing my own destiny. Too long, didn't listen. Directed my own destiny.
Hey. So what was day one like for you when you're like, okay, I'm my own boss now. Like, here we go.
Day one, well, I had 2 clients because they had reached out to me being like, please please help us. And I was like, okay, let me figure this out. Like, I built my LLC. I woke up at like 11 a.m. I went to the gym, walked my dog, worked at 2, was done by 2:30. And I was like, dang, this is great. And it kind of continued like that for a year and a half, where I was working like 10 hours a week and still making what I had previously been making. And I was like, the freedom that had come with this was amazing. And then I got the silly idea of like, hey, let me help my friends to get into this. Oh, that becomes an agency. I'm no longer this solo person. Let me take on way more responsibility, reduce my margins significantly, but help make a bigger impact for our clients. But like, it was like pretty fun from like, because I had clients that had reached out to me, and what I was doing was kind of really easy for me. And in my first year and a half, there were 6 millionaires that we helped create from our clients. So it was like this. Gosh, I'm on a high. Like, this is, I can't lose. So yeah, it was fun. And I thought, why did I wait this long? And my husband was like, I told you.
Like, well, is this one of the few occasions where you're like, yeah, you're right?
No, in my household, he's always right.
He's always right. He's like, don't should have listened to him earlier.
Oh, that's like the story of our every conversation. Like, he's like, I've told you, I believed in you for this. I told you were going to do this well. He's like literally my number one cheerleader. Like, actually, so before I took the job with Disney Institute, it was 50 days before I was going to go to law school. So I had a full ride to Texas Tech to get my JD and a finance master combined. Full ride.
Wow.
And then 50 days before the semester started, I got this role with Disney Institute. And I was like, one of like 5,000 people are applicants, something outrageous. And I was like, okay, we got to do this. And my husband said, all right, I got shotgun. And we drove from LA to Orlando and never left.
Wow.
Or at least never went back to California. I mean, we travel a lot, and we obviously go to Italy quite often for long periods, but.
No, like, this is the thing. Having a full ride, which, you know what I mean, it's a very sort of privileged place to be.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, taking a chance on this opportunity which came up with Disney, don't get me wrong, like, yeah, like, Disney's a huge company and everything like that. But how long did you take to think about it? Was it just like, yeah,
4 hours?
4 hours?
Well, I mean, it was an hourly job. Like, I made $12.50 an hour for my first role there. Coming out of college to make I made more money babysitting. And it was tax free because it was like an hour of babysitting paid for everything, like the movies I wanted to go to. And like, let's be real, I ate my body's worth of food, and I babysat for fantastic families. So it was a huge income change, and it wasn't about like, hey, well, if you look at the money, I've never been someone who's been motivated by money. It was just the experience, and it's where I met my husband. It's where I was fortunate enough, like growing up, my mom was someone that would always be like, well, let's try. So we would go to Disney a few times growing up because she was like, let's try. So we'd sleep on the floor or on the couch of our friends' apartments or hotels that they got. My mom was like, look, if we can fit, I would sit in the middle seat of a car for 21 hours because my mom was like, all right, we could do this. We can make this work. So there was just so many happy memories. It was a 4-hour consideration. And most of that was, what am I contractually committed to with the university? And what does 5 years from now look like? Because 5 years with a JD and a master's in finance, because I wanted to go into estate law and planning, looks very different than moving to Florida for an hourly position with being one of 70,000+ people at a company. Like, how far could I grow with the Walt Disney Company in 5 years versus becoming an estate lawyer?
Ooh. Yeah. One has the potential to be many different things, and one is definitely, yes, this is what it is. This is where I am. This is what's happening.
Yeah.
Right? So would you say, like, the sort of your get up and go and positive outlook stems from your mother's attitude and like observing her and like taking that on board?
I think so. I mean, I grew up with parents that never said no. It wasn't yes, but it was never no. It wasn't always yes, but it was never no. And it was like, I remember like I was 5 or 6 and I wanted this Barbie doll. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, I was like, oh, tall blonde. That's me when I grow up. So I wanted this Barbie doll, and my dad was like, sure, you can get it, but like, I'm not giving you the money. So it wasn't, no, you can't have it. It's like, sure, you can get it. And so like we sat on like a brainstorming session and was like, how can you earn the money? What do you like to do? I drew some pictures with crayons and watercolors. I called my friend Lizzie over, and then we went door to door selling the pictures until I got the $20 for the Barbie. And so it
Ah,
was like that for me was normal. And the more mature I get in life, I've come to understand that that's atypical. Not everyone grew up in a household where you are empowered to make decisions and empowered to have influence. Like we would have mediations if someone had a disagreement. My dad was more like a boxing person, like, you go. Now you go. It's not your turn to talk. All right. Now let's come together. Me and your mom will come to a resolution. It was a really open communication and a positive outlook. And I think so my dad was born in 1940 and my mom in 44, and they grew up at a time like he was a Vietnam vet. My mom helped change the law in Illinois for women to wear pants. Like she couldn't wear pants to work. Like it was illegal, and she had to like go on strike with a few of her friends because the government would not allow her to wear pants.
oh my
And
God.
a lot of the things that were like a big deal to me were like, let's be real. Let's put this into like a reality perspective. Check your privilege a little, and don't waste your time on some of the like woe is me. But it's this so what now what. So yeah, I mean, I it was born into me.
Hmm. No, because this is the thing. Like, yeah, one of the things which is sadly lacking for many people these days is yeah, being able to critically think their way out of a like situation,
Mm,
or basically, yeah, solution thinking as well. Like, basically, yeah, you want this. Now let's like figure out a solution how you're going to get that. Because many people, like as you say, parents, no, you can't have it. Done.
do
But
not
it
pass
doesn't.
go. Do not collect $200. It's like a mental jail.
Yes, and I think it stunts everyone on some base level. You don't realize it until you sort of try to go out there and get other things later on in life. But you're like, you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
I think, well, even going back to that, like some of the success I had at Disney is at the innovation, like with the innovation team, like my boss was amazing. So wicked smart. Like we were creative problem solvers. Like that was our job. And so we'd use design thinking, and it was just creative problem solving. So it's this what if scenario. And like as it grew from not just being in my parents' household, and then also like I have 5 brothers. So I'm going to say there's a lot of like wiggle room to figure things out when you're surrounded by a bunch of dudes who are much taller than you.
Five
Uh,
brothers, how did your husband manage to get around, like navigate that? Hey, huh? Oh,
well, I grew up with 2 of them. So 2 of them were in the household. And then I have 3 that are older because my parents were much older. Um,
yeah.
and I don't think he knows all of their names very well. To be fair, like my older brother, I mean, I have 4 older brothers, technically 5. Oh, there was a secret love child I found out about like 2 years ago. But they're born in the 50s and 60s, and they don't have names that are common, especially in Italy. So like Donald, Emmerich, Van, like then they all have different nicknames. So it's just like, okay, but I don't see them that often. And his family is so close. My husband calls his mother for 2 hours a day. They are best friends. Okay. Their family dynamic is different than my family dynamic. When I was 18 and still in high school, I was kicked out of the house and legally homeless for half a year before. Yeah, it was a lot. And so I can go 2 weeks without texting or calling my mom. He can't go 2 days. So I have taken this role where like we go to Italy every year. I was like I said when we were dating, I was like every year 100% I will make sure. I don't care if I'm living on a ramen diet, because I've been on a ramen diet, right? Like I've walked miles to get to work because I didn't have bus money. But I was like, no matter what, I will make sure you can always go home, because I was not the big bad villain who took the Italian away to America. His family's amazing. I love my mother-in-law and family, but I was like, I can do this. So we go to his family's home every year. They're an incredible family. So I can tell you everything, all their birthdays, all their anniversaries. It's my skill set. My husband shows up. He's like, hello, I'm 6'4" and beautiful. You're welcome. He's also super introverted, so he would never say that. But my family has openly told me that they were certain I was catfishing myself for 2 years. Like, there's no way. Like, who is this Italian Dolce & Gabbana model? Like, no, this isn't a real person. And because he's introvert and like he hadn't like really interacted with anyone, half of my friends thought he was fake.
Yeah. Oh, I was out with him the other day. Sure, of course you were. Yeah, look, this is a picture of me. It's like, that looks photoshopped. Yeah, she was.
I don't know if I'm more upset that you don't believe me or more upset that you believe that that's possible.
Look, it's like, look, walking down the aisle with him. Yeah. Actor. It's like, no, that's just smile and wave.
It's true. And like the weird thing, and I know it's like totally diverging, but like he's from Italy, so he has an accent, and he's an introvert, and he's more on the shy side. Let's be real. Everyone next to me is on the shy side. I'm a very extroverted, in-your-face individual.
No, I didn't pick up on that whatsoever. It's like, I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Like just me here with the mic, like quietly chatting away. Like, look, like, yeah, I just got reserved. There's
Yeah, well, a lot of people thought he didn't speak English. Like, so the people that did believe he was real, they thought he didn't speak English. I was like, how do you think we started dating? And they were like, well, you use a different type of language. I was like,
There's a gestures and hand puppets. There you go.
Yeah. They're like, Italians speak with their hands. So it's really easy. Like, feed me.
You just look at some of your friends, you go, you know what? Why are you guys so stupid? Come on.
One friend, she was really nice, and she said, look, the reality is he's so good looking that even if he was speaking, I wouldn't understand anything because I just hear angels singing whenever he's nearby. So he might have been talking, I don't know.
Let's watch that friend of yours.
I hooked her up with I introduced her to her husband.
Okay.
I was like, okay, bet. I have a friend for you.
Yeah, stay away from him. I will find you and kill you. Oh, love it. Oh, brilliant. Now, just to bring it back to a realm of, how can I put it, professionalism. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Now, you mentioned earlier with like the clients, you started out with like 2 clients. You were earning the same money you were before your work, and then you like, okay, 2 clients working 10 hours a week, getting paid the same amount of money. Then you started to bring on more people, which you turned into 6 of them into millionaires. How does that happen?
I will just like full disclaimer, like 2 disclaimers. One, everything I've shared about Disney is my own opinion and not expressly done by Disney or whatever. Like that's my funny little.
Disney nerds, go out there and get her.
No. But the first 2 clients, I wasn't making. In my first year, I was able to make what I had previously made, and it was with more than 2 clients. But what it was is, I had an experience doing Facebook ads and using. Let's go back to creative problem solving. I've like really nailed it down to like success on Facebook ads comes down to 2 components, technically 3 if you want to be picky. And one of that's budget, because if you don't spend enough, you can't optimize. It's in the data. But it was able to like distill down offers and services into something which for me is the formula. Is like you have to have a sexy offer and you have to have an obvious audience. If your offer isn't sexy, what are you gonna? You're not gonna get swiped right on. And if you don't have an obvious audience, you're just a Me Too product. So you need to make, you're presenting something that the individual who's receiving that ad is like, oh my gosh, you're speaking to my soul. You so get me. This is obviously for me. So if you're selling a product for teachers, or if you're selling a product to podcasters based in the UK, you're more likely to be interested in someone selling a product that's specifically for podcasters based in the UK, which has a tremendous amount of support, trust, credentials, and proof of how they scaled UK based podcasts in the US and other external markets, than someone who's just like, I help podcasters. So a lot of it was just taking in I need to distill this down so that a 3rd grader would enjoy this. And actually thinking about it now, I can't believe I never thought, I was a part of like a preschool and grandparents project when I was at the Walt Disney Company. And the type of communication and like the graphics and the overall marketing messaging had to resonate with preschoolers and grandparents. And so when I can't believe I never thought to make that connection. But a lot of the stuff that I try to do is, it's so obvious who this is for, and it's so sexy that even a 3rd grader would understand it right away. And so doing that became like a uniqueness, I guess. And maybe it goes back to like, some people feel mentally blocked, do not pass go, do not collect $200 if they're not told explicitly how to follow these steps. But it was just, I was brutally honest. I'd let people know if their offer sucked. I would say like, hey, I have 0 interest in this. Like, this isn't going to resonate. I can't get anyone to react. Like, you're selling me like sandpaper, and I'm trying to buy a silk pillow. So I was mean. I was honest, and I said, we need to treat our customers like they're in 3rd grade, because if you make them think that they're not intelligent enough for your product, you've isolated them from ever wanting to interact with you again.
Interesting. Because this is the thing. Like everyone expects, like when it's like, yes, when you're advertising to me, it's got to be suave and sophisticated. Like and like you know what I mean? Because like, well, I am that intellectual type. Wow, 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 wow. But when you're like 3rd grader,
there are a lot fewer people with that intellectual type suave need that will spend on a product than there are people that want to buy from a human, not from a egotistical, obnoxious, let me isolate you kind of personality.
Yeah, because like with Facebook ads, as like in that glorious like platform, which is how can I say it is mostly pay to play.
For sure.
Like anyone who like thinks yes, you can get things organically on Facebook. It's like, I think that time came and went back in
2015.
Well, 2015. I was going to say 2010. So I was like, yeah, you go right.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm a little bit jaded and cynical. I'm not bitter, I promise.
Look, I can tell you on a side note, if you are looking for organic reach, it's LinkedIn and Pinterest. Pinterest is going to be stronger because you have a 3 times larger daily active user base than LinkedIn. But like organically on like Pinterest, this is like a side like FYI. Like we will repurpose TikToks, YouTube Shorts, Reels, everything onto Pinterest, and it might get crickets on a platform that's overly saturated and competitive, like Instagram, TikTok, or whatever, and then it'll crush it on Pinterest because Pinterest isn't a chronological feed. Pinterest is a search engine with visual display, so you're looking for content. So it doesn't matter if you posted that content 4 months ago, 4 years ago, or 4 days ago. Your content life decay is 12 or 1,600 times longer than a Facebook post. So if you are looking for organic, you're sleeping on Pinterest. If you're trying to like wind back the clock, because we have clients where we have pins, which is their posts from 4 or 5 years ago that are still generating hundreds of clicks to their website. It's the most effective organic place to post, and you can do it in a really lazy, bad way. Like you don't even have to optimize for the platform. Anything is better than nothing because Pinterest has over 450 million active users.
Wait, isn't that? Is that the same as Twitter slash X, whatever? Like, or
Oh,
is,
I don't know. I just know that LinkedIn has like 900 million, but they have fewer active users. A lot of people set up their LinkedIn and abandon it. Pinterest folks are there to be inspired. And like, there's a lot of stuff that everyone who's mad at Facebook, I'm like, just, okay, it's true. It is a pay to play environment. There's still a lot of success, don't get me wrong. But if you're already making like a root piece of content, so say you're making a reel, you're posting it on Facebook, you're posting it on Instagram, you're posting it on YouTube Shorts, give
yes.
yourself 4 minutes, throw it onto Pinterest. It's keyword based, so you give some context to it so that someone can find it. It's the most unsocial social too, because you don't have to reply to comments and there's no DMs to respond to. You're just saying, I already created this piece of content. It got ignored on Facebook because I didn't give Mark Zuckerberg all my money. I'm going to put it on Pinterest. And like real estate, where you buy real estate and wait, you post on Pinterest and you wait.
Because like this is the thing, I've been looking at Pinterest. Like I looked at Pinterest, then I drifted away. Looked at it again, drifted away. Because yeah, with all the things you've got to put out there and everything like this, it is a
Distraction.
time crunch challenge, which like gets on my nerves at times, but has to be done. I've been looking at. Have you heard of a program called Repurpose? .io?
Repurpose.io, I'm familiar with it, yeah.
Yes, I was going to start using that, and then basically, you know what I mean,
Hey,
get it sent out everywhere.
starting, some is better than none. And
Mm-hmm.
like for my e-commerce brand for Asian Beauty Essentials, for example, we've not created original posts. We have blogs, so we go into Canva, create a quick, image, take the headline of
Yeah,
the blog, use a stock photo, throw it up on Pinterest, and then a blog that may not have gotten organic visitors is now getting 10 to 20 clicks to that blog for further reading from Pinterest every week. And because it's on Pinterest and people are interacting with this blog, where all I did was make a really quick and easy Canva picture, Pinterest France, Pinterest South Korea, Pinterest Ireland picked up my pin and made their blog a curation. So now those 90 plus domain authorities are reaching back to AsianBeautyEssentials.com. So we were able to grow our domain authority, which increased our Google traffic, organic traffic, which
mm,
increased tremendously. And a lot of that was because we were just bringing our content to Pinterest. So using repurpose.io or using any sort of tool, even if you're hiring a VA and stuff, like you can really see a lot of impact. And we're not spending any money on Pinterest for Asian Beauty Essentials, and we're getting almost like 400,000, 500,000 monthly views, which is
what
over 1,000 visitors to our website every week, just because we're repurposing content that we made for YouTube or Instagram on Pinterest.
like does it still kind of amaze you that like yeah, people are sleeping on it, or they just
Yeah.
uh,
Well, I mean, it amazes me only to this extent of like when I tell someone and I show them success, because obviously we have a lot of clients and we've built up a lot of clients to get 100,000 monthly recurring visitors to their website within 90 days. That's not like
mm,
100,000 once. Pinterest allows you can see if someone clicked on it, you can see how many outbound clicks, because Pinterest is a place where they want you to be inspired to leave. It's not the hey, follow for more, or like don't leave Instagram, stay on Instagram because if I send you off Instagram, the algorithm's going to punish me. No, Pinterest is
yeah,
like be inspired to take action. Leave. Go do something. You are here to be inspired and then to take action. So it surprises me when I show nonstop use cases of people that still like refuse, or they don't, they're like, it's not, I'm not asking for you to like invent a new day.
mm,
It does take time, don't get me wrong, in the sense of you still have to upload it. So using a tool like repurpose.io or another schedule, Tailwind is the best one for Pinterest, you can get away with so much poor quality because there's just this level of consumption that's not being met by demand. So with a lack of supply, you're being rewarded. And I put all clients of ours into two categories for Pinterest. You're obviously Pinterest or you're non-obvious Pinterest.
mm-hmm.
Most people assume Pinterest is only for women. That's only 60% true. 60% of the consumers on Pinterest identify as women. That means 40% do not identify as female. 40%. So people that are like, oh, I don't sell to women, I sell to men. I'm like, okay, cool. That's 40%. You want to ignore such a high
Sure.
number? Um,
Yeah,
so like the obvious folks like beauty, food, wedding, interior design, if you're in those spaces and you're not on Pinterest, that's a little embarrassing.
Yeah.
Just being honest, okay? Look, I told you that's how I was successful. I'll call your baby ugly. If you're in that space and you're not on it, like, ugh, don't tell me. Or like, admit to it. First step of alcoholism, or like, Pinterestism. I don't know, whatever that is. But if you're in a non-obvious space, B2B, podcasting, if like we consulted with a client that's in the water filtration space. They're like, I'm not going to be on Pinterest. We sell B2B. They close a $10,000 deal within 2 weeks of starting their posting from Pinterest.
Whoa, that is not too shabby.
Yeah, I mean, of course, it's like a lifetime and all those other pieces that go to it, but it's like, you can get away with so much awareness and traffic to your website without optimizing it for the platform. Ideal is a 1x3, so it's like a 1,000 by 1,500, 2x3. Sorry, is the size. Like, so think horizontal. It's not the square post, but if you're using a square post, okay, they'll still accept it. If you're using stock image, okay. You're using stock image on Instagram, no one cares. They want you to be as native as possible. But Pinterest, people are still sleeping on. So it doesn't surprise me that people are sleeping on it, because they tried it, they ignored it. They think it's just for girls, or like there's no buyer intention. But if you're in the e-commerce space, they've signed this massive deal with Amazon. So I think it's going to be the most disruptive social media platform for Amazon sellers. So that's like, I'm going to be more embarrassed for you Amazon sellers in a year from now than I will be for like the wedding interior decorator, or the recipe chef, or any services in those obvious spaces for Pinterest. I'll be more embarrassed for Amazon sellers that are not on Pinterest in a year from now.
Yeah. It must make, like, you must feel like sometimes you're like looking at in the Matrix, you got I can't remember the character's name, like, but he's like, no, he was like, all I see is code.
Oh yeah. And he's like, no, I can read it. Like Neo's like, what are you looking at? A bunch of numbers. And then the engineers are like, no, I can see it now. Like there's the girl in the red dress.
Yeah. Is it like that for you on a regular basis? Like that? It's like, yeah.
I really appreciate that compliment. I want to say yes, but I like want to be humble, but like, let's be real. I'm not humble. I'm just honest. Like, I know what I'm good at, but I equally know what I'm really bad at, right? Like Zumba, no. I'm in a class with all these Dominican women, and I am there to boost their ego. I look like the balloon person in front of a car dealership. I am not good at Zumba, but what I am good at is like kind of those things of like leveraging data to speak the truth, like going back to the beginning. And like some of that, like why I really like that compliment specifically is one of the things that I've been really focusing on is learning and studying Chinese economics, especially in relation to e-commerce, because what's like, it's not a sleeping giant. China's not lying or hiding or gatekeeping what they're doing. They're 5 years ahead of us. So let's go back to the Disney example earlier with the Magic Band, where I was like, I can't believe Disney won all these awards for a product that has been around. It's just, what? This isn't revolutionary. It's like someone winning an award right now for adding wheels to a suitcase. Okay, wheels have been on a suitcase for 80 years, which I think is like the best innovation ever, by the way. But no, it's like China, like you look at the evolution of TikTok, China had a competing product of TikTok, and the exact same trends. Started off with dances, and then it became this type of consulting. You could look in China's past to predict Western's future. And so in the, like, it's kind of spelled out there for you. Like, I can see through the code. I think you're giving me too much credit, but I'll take it. I'll gladly take it, because I'm just like, the data's there.
No, because like the reason why I say this is because, look, okay, Pinterest is a platform which isn't hiding. It's, you know what I mean? Nope. It's quite clearly where it is. Mm-hmm. Same thing with Facebook. But when you like, do this, that, the other on Pinterest, and yes, it will lead to hundreds of, like tens of thousands of people coming to your site on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. Like, well, anything on the internet, traffic and attention is like, it's not half the battle, it's all of the battle. And then, like, you know what I mean? If they convert from there, they convert from there. But it's just, as I say, people sleeping on it. People like see it, they know it's there, but
Yeah.
no. And look, I would say like I put myself in that category as well. I'm not going to put myself in this. I go, no, foolish peasants. No, because like yeah, it's a case of I sit here and go, yeah, like yeah, I have a Pinterest, but like I haven't really been doing a lot with it. So you know what I
Fair.
mean?
Yeah.
It's, yeah.
But you also don't have to be doing it. Like, I mean, obviously, if you listen, you can hire Mongoose Media, which is my agency. But like, you can also like work with a VA. Like, I mean, you're always going to trade time or money. So like, when I started my career, I was working 10 hours a week. I was making what I needed to make because I had retired my husband, and I was like, okay. For me, I'm not motivated by money. I want to make sure I have a meal every day with him, side by side. That I'm in
Oh,
town.
retired your husband. I was like, damn. It's like, click. I love you, baby, but now you got to go.
Oh no, I meant like he was working in a restaurant, and I was like, hey, if you're not happy, I make enough. We're fine. Go like study, pursue what you want to do. Like I don't need a bag. I need you to be happy. So like where Pinterest, not everyone like wants to do it. Like we only have so many hours in the day. It is not something like, yeah, you can hire an agency, no problem, but you can also hire a VA or a nephew. I was speaking at a conference in Fiji a few weeks ago, which was amazing. And this woman and her husband brought their kids to my presentation because he was 14 and the other one was 11. And they were there like, hey, you need to learn what she has to say because they're going to do it. This is a very, very successful brand in Australia. I mean, she's got over 800,000 followers. And she's like, I don't have the time to do this. I'm not going to do this, but I have children that are interested in more Roblox money. Let me have them pay attention and learn how we can do it. And then it's like, 5 to 15 minutes a day. Of course, there's ways that you can do even more with it. And depending on where you roll out, I mean, like with everything, the more you give to it, the more possibility is. But even at a minimum, even with really bad creative, even with just copying and pasting what you have at like the lazy woman or man or whoever's upload, like you don't have to make a whole old fashioned or Manhattan drink. You could just take the shot of whiskey. You're still going to get intoxicated. I'm just saying Pinterest you could do just a shot of whiskey. You don't need to have a fancy cocktail.
Yeah, I do love a fancy cocktail. I do love a fancy cocktail. Yeah. So like this is the thing. With all of this and like doing like your agency and everything like this, like do you sometimes sort of get tempted like okay, maybe I should be doing a little side hustle here and a little side hustle there with things out there, like with being able to see the matrix as you do.
I think so. Like, I mean, I have the agency, which is Mongoose Media. I own 3 commerce brands. And then we're doing this like software company. Like I also do consulting. It's a lot because I also do this like tour to hobbies. Like I fence, I dragon boat, I fail at Zumba, right? I'll do hot yoga. Today I'm going on this like, I'm meeting with a bunch of strangers to go out to Asian foodie spots, this like Facebook group I found of locals. Cause I try really hard to force myself into environments so that I can meet new people because I'm always going to be selling to humans. And it's really easy for me to go into networking events where I'm seeing the same marketers or I'm seeing the same people in my industry, but like they're not buying my products. They're not buying my clients' products. So like I have improv classes on Sunday. So when you talk about like an additional side hustle, my husband is, I'm sure he's like in there, I'm like, do not say another side hustle to her. Like I'm learning Chinese and Korean. I'm fluent in Italian, work like pretty good at French. He's like, you have enough on your plate. Like he's like, I exist too.
Yeah. So I have to ask. No, okay. There are people which exist in life. There are people which live life, and then there are people which truly embrace life. What given you this sort of passion to embrace life so? Because that is a lot of things to do. What you just said.
When you say like what brought the passion to embrace life, I would just be like, what's
Yeah.
the alternative? Not?
Wow. No, no, that is a simple answer for like a question. right there. But like, hey, was there a cat? Like, was there a thing? What
Mm,
a catalyst for this embracing life?
sure. I will like, being homeless 3 days after you turn 18 is going to send you into a like money starvation phase, right? Like I am still fortunate because while I did have to live in someone else's basement, and I had a car, right? Like I had a car, so I had a space to sleep, and I had a key to my mom's house, so I could go. And there was lockers at there's showers at my high school too, so after soccer practice morning I could shower and all that stuff. I also had health insurance, right? I have my parents' genetics. There's a lot of things that put me in a better place than others, so I want to be hyper clear about that. But I did have this catalyst of, well, I could be upset about this, or I could keep living, and I just knew that my parameters or like my tolerance for fun changed, and it was dependent on a dollar ratio. So I had this dollar to fun ratio where if anything was $5 an hour, okay, I'll try it. That's how I signed up for Chinese. Korean was $1 an hour. I signed up for like belly dancing classes because it was $4.44 an hour. Salsa classes, my husband and I are starting in a few weeks once we come back from our anniversary trip, because that's really like $3 an hour. Like it's this dollar to fun ratio where I'll try something new, and it's great because I get to meet people who are passionate about it. And I come in being like, I'm humbly terrible at this, but now I'm also competitive. So let me see if I can get better. That hasn't happened for Zumba, but other things, yeah.
Mm, mm. Loving it. You're a wild child, kid. You're a wild child. uh, got to say, yeah. Like with regards to everything you're doing right there, like going like where do you expect this dragon boat journey to take you in the next few years?
Dragon boat specifically, amazing. If anyone's in Orlando, please look me up. Lauren E. Petrullo. I will have you come to my boat. I will show you a free dragon boating lesson. It's competitive canoeing, but Chinese, 20 of us on the boat. I've competed, and like Taiwan has actually sponsored races. I haven't competed in Hong Kong. I've competed domestically. We've had races abroad. I just, calendar conflicts didn't work, but I will be in Taiwan next year, and I'm reaching out to the team to see if I can train with them. I'm going to be in Taiwan for 7 weeks. But in 5 years from now, I want to be I want to be medaled at an international competition. And like, I have friends that are on the US team. And I would say another thing is I hope that there's more awareness. Like in the US, 70% of dragon boaters are women because it's a lot of breast cancer survivors. You work these muscles, and there aren't a lot of activities that help with muscles that are really, really painful for a lot of breast cancer survivors. But in Orlando, if anyone has Amazon Prime, there's a great documentary about this incredible team. It's called Dueling Dragons. And so it's a program that this woman, Andrea, created with the Orlando Police Department. They have boats, dragon boating boats with cops and kids. Kids that are from areas that are often afraid of cops, with cops that are often afraid of the kids from these different areas. And they've done this program for like 5 or 6 years now. Every single person who has been in the program has graduated high school. There have been kids that have gotten full rides to colleges to do rowing and other water-based activities. There was even one kid who ended up becoming a cop. And these are children from households that it's abnormal to survive past 16. Mm-hmm. They've never been to a hotel before, and then they're taken to go travel and compete. They've never been on a plane before, or they've never owned anything that's theirs first and not something that's been handed down from one of their siblings. It's an incredible story of like cooperation and like shutting down assumptions, because like the cops will pick up the kids in their car, like they'll show up to the practice with their lights on, fully uniformed, and then they take off the full uniform to say, hey, I'm a person behind this uniform. And then the kids will show up, and then they'll put on a shirt that has their name on it, the same as the cop has their name on it. It's like, hey, I am a kid, not just a face, or not just, a member of this community. So it's been, I think in 5 years, it would just be to continue to share a sport that like I'm low-key obsessed with, and then medal in an international race. You're like, this is not what I expected at all.
No. Like, this is the thing. Like, this is why I like doing like the podcast, because look, when someone goes, yes, I am this, this is how I am to the world.
Mm.
That is your representative, fine, but it's not who you sometimes truly are, who you authentically are
Mm.
as a being in this world. And
Okay.
like, yeah, having these conversations, I could go, yeah, I could have a podcast which is 20 minutes long or 10 minutes long and go, yes, tell me everything about marketing. Go. And like you was like, oh, okay, blah, 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 and you'll reel out like your little marketing pitch, which you most really like could do backwards, inside out. But like to say, would I know anything about you? Would there be any sort of like little nuance there? Not really,
No.
because I'll have that moment of your representative of who you are and like yeah, what Mongoose Media does, and away you go. Like yeah, won't have any of the how can I say like yeah, you being turfed out of your house at the age of 18, like yeah, doing like working for Disney, meeting your husband, like yeah, who's 6'4", like very quiet man compared to yourself, who doesn't know all of your family members' names, like knowing about yeah your five brothers. No, wouldn't have got that. And like yeah, simply like going into work like for yourself because yeah, like because of the cable cutting and everything like that, to like be like getting a few clients together, basically working like not a lot, like not many hours, but getting the same pay. To like you like dragon boat racing, learning a number of different languages, having this sort of broad brace and like hunger for life to like go out and do so many things. Would I be able to get that for 10 minutes? I don't think so. But today, right now, we're having this conversation, and yeah, learn so much about you and hey, and other things as well. And yes, the power of Pinterest. But yeah, and, but you get what I mean. Do you understand where I'm coming from?
Oh, 100%. Like, I mean, like when you ask, like, oh, so like you're doing these podcasts, like, what? Because I was like, I want to be on 200 podcasts this year. You're like, whoa, that's doing too much. But I told you, it's like meeting humans that I wouldn't necessarily meet, and like having the chance to share experience that has helped me. And if there's others that maybe feel like, oh, I don't know if I can do all these different things. Should I take the entrepreneurial pledge? Do I need to do like 16 hours a day just to make whatever ends meet? It's like there are alternatives out there, and like it worked for me. I can't say it's for sure going to work for someone else, but at least I knew my requirements, which was I want to make sure that I have a meal with my husband every single day.
Mm, that is you know what I mean? That is a very, you people go, but that's not much. That's not really anything special. But no, but that's sitting down with someone you love
Yeah.
each and every night. That is huge because the amount of people out there who don't have someone like that, or if they are sitting down with someone, it's like, yeah, I wish it was with someone else. Like, but sometimes the simplest things in life are the most rewarding things in life.
For sure. And it's also potentially the most profitable, going back to like where I saw stuff fail before we were able to like accelerate growth for clients would be their stuff was overcomplicated. What are you selling? Oh my gosh. Tell me what you're selling in 5 words. Talk to me like I'm a third grader. And when you like stuff and you're not worried about comparing or like what you don't have, I'm happy. And I don't measure wealth by dollars, but by like smiles that I have on my face a day. And like each wrinkle that I have from smiling, I'm like, yeah, look at that. That's a comma. Like it's my comma for wealth, my smile wrinkles. So
love it. Love it. Ah, now, my final question. As like, yes, I'm afraid it's come to that time, and like, yeah, if I wake up a small child at this present time, it's okay. Yeah, put it this way, my rather like unwell like lady will come in and literally like yeah, flay me to the nth degree. But yeah, but last question. Now, I am a being of supreme cosmic power. I can grant you one wish, and before you say anything, cocky lady, I know you know. See, I see you. I see you. It's like, yeah, you can't wish for like infinite wishes. You can't write stuff down on a piece of paper. I wish all of this comes true. Yeah, yeah. Like you can't. Like yeah, it's just one wish, and look, you can't be like. Don't ask for wishing COVID away because look, I had to draw on the powers of Dolly Parton and Beyonce, and that's a dark pact I don't want to go into. Then like no, and no wishing for world peace because if COVID was bad enough, no. What would that one wish be?
Okay. Well, the world peace version is clean water access to everyone, but I recognize that maybe you'd have to draw on the Dolly Parton and Beyonce powers. But it would be clean water access. But in a more plausible one, I would think, okay, the youth incarceration system in the United States gives out an archaic educational system. And there are a lot of really, really smart sales folks that are young and in jail and, serving their time so that they can start over. There's a lot of amazing, brilliant copywriters. Like they can write hooks and raps better than most of the highest paying copywriters. Like, so they understand human psychology. My wish would be that the incarceration system in the US, especially for youth, could adapt a more entrepreneurial based education system. Because a lot of the individuals that pursue an entrepreneur type hustle just are pursuing an entrepreneur hustle that's illegal and are not necessarily presented with alternative jobs besides Walmart, 7-Eleven, or like an hourly job that's not going to fulfill them. So I would just that it becomes more normalized that there are alternative opportunities, even if your record may not match the resume for a dream that you know about, but that the entrepreneurial life is totally possible.
Outstanding. I shall see what I can do about that, but I have a sneaky suspicion this might be some plan of yours a little bit down the line. But for me to jump to any assumptions by all means.
There's like a lot of courses. It's just that people buy textbooks, and as soon as a textbook is printed, it's outdated. So if kids in prison are taking classes, they shouldn't be using textbooks from 20 years ago to talk about business psychology. They could take a Pinterest course, right? They could take a course on copywriting. They could take a course on like sales phone calls. Like it's like we've graduated out of like blue collar jobs where like a high school in Chicago had like auto mechanic and plumbing courses in high school, Lane Tech. So it was a technical school so that you can graduate high school and have a degree or like have a high school degree and a specialist in a job that can make you 6 figures a year. I think the generalist education, like the resources, they're outdated, they're archaic, and the blue collar jobs of today's age, especially for younger individuals, is online, and we impede that tremendously. So I disagree with it.
Okay. On that happy note of empowerment, I have to say, Lauren, thank you for coming on today. You have been a superstar, a delight, a pleasure. Yes, a force to be reckoned with. As you smite many enemies. Can you tell the lovely people how they can find you out there on these internets?
Sure. So I'm on all the socials. It's Lauren E. Petrullo. So E for Elizabeth, because I'm married into my name and someone beat me to all the handles. It's reality. So Lauren, maybe I should be like E for extra, because that's my life. Actually, I think I'm going to start saying that instead. Lauren E. Petrullo, E for extra. Or you can see my website, mongoosemedia.us.
Excellent. Oh, please go out there, get on her website, and yes, make those connections. Trust me, you will not be bored.
I gave up boredom in 2006. That was my New Year's resolution. I decided boredom was optional, so I gave it up for my New Year's resolution.
And you know what? I'm going to get you back on at some point to talk about that. That's another story. Oh, brilliant. I'd like to say thank you to you, my friends, my life warriors, for sticking with us all the way to the end. Please stay well, stay safe, be awesome, be excellent, be fantastic. Be all the positive bees you can be in this world and then some. Have a great day.
Ciao.